Raider Nation, what is going on? Coming to you guys live, almost post-draft. We're going to save this thing for 4 o'clock when the draft ended, but it seems like the Raiders got everything that they could. They moved up. We ended this thing in the 4th round, and that's about all we got here. And joining me live, something new, something different. This is a fresh start. I guess we'll get a little mic check real quick, make sure everyone can hear you. Kenny King, what's going on, man?
Yo, what's up, Raider Nation? How y'all doing?
There we go. We got the chat active and live. Everybody's getting in there. We'll take some questions here pretty soon, man. But we're just gonna break this thing down player by player. We're gonna start with our first pick, obviously with Henry Ruggs, and we're just gonna go through this thing because, I mean, really looking at 2019 and our season, this was probably the highlight of our season. The rookie class last year is what made our team. So obviously now this makes Raider Nation that much more pumped up to get this kind of group in there and get fired up, man. Kenny King, overall, how excited are you?
This was an exciting draft. We talked offline a little bit about this, and we filled a lot of needs and what the Raiders wanted and what the Raiders needed. We were able to add some wide receiver talent. We were able to add some corners. We added a guy like Tanner Muse, who we'll talk about in a little bit, who's more of that hybrid player on the defense. We filled a lot of needs, and I know a lot of areas of it looked like they may have been stretches at times, but after hearing Mayock's explanations, I feel a lot better about them.
I feel you. Now, so we're gonna kick this thing off, man. We're gonna go with draft pick number 1 here. This is the 12th overall wide receiver, Henry Ruggs. Now we came down. We were going through this thing, right? We're going in, watching wide receivers, and really that's all we're watching, right? There was corners. You're watching like Okuda. You're watching C.J. Henderson. You're watching some of these guys fall. Isaiah Simmons, we're watching him fall. But really, everybody had their eyes on CeeDee Lamb, right? Everybody had their eyes on CeeDee Lamb. Shout out to Grizz Turner because he had his eyes on Henry Ruggs, which, of course, Kenny, we've talked. We both loved Henry Ruggs going into it, too. He was kind of the, 1A, 1B type guy. Yep. We'd love to have Henry Ruggs. And right there on the spot, I think everyone thought CeeDee Lamb and dropped in some speed. Henry Ruggs. Yeah. What do you think about that, man?
Yeah, it was crazy because, we saw all the players drop and we saw, Isaiah Simmons ended up going to Arizona. We thought that we might have had a chance at him. But, sitting at 12, you had CeeDee Lamb, Henry Ruggs, and Jerry Jeudy all sitting there. And it was basically the dream scenario for every Raider fan because at the end of the day, you're going to get one of the top 3 receivers in the draft. And we ended up getting Ruggs. And what I like about Ruggs, and obviously I was very big on CeeDee Lamb, but what I like about the Ruggs pick is his speed, his ability to take the top off of a defense, the ability to open up an offense. And if you look at the comparables, he's obviously compared to a guy like Tyreek Hill, minus the off-field issues. He's also, you can very much compare him to a guy that we had for a short period of time last season, and Antonio Brown, once again, minus the off-field issues. I see that Henry Ruggs is a guy that's playing with a why. He's playing for his family. He's playing to show everybody why he is the first receiver drafted in this draft, and I think that he's going to be huge for the Raiders.
I agree. He's gonna be that big play ability. That's pretty much what we were missing last year. We were efficient. We moved the ball. Really, I mean, with Josh Jacobs, obviously, first and second down was almost insane. I mean, how many times did we face like a less than 3rd and 5?
Yeah.
Less than 5 yards to go on 3rd down. It was amazing. And those are times, even whenever we get into a 2nd and short, those are times where we can start taking shots down the field. We had that so many times. It's 1st down. Josh Jacobs picks up 7-8 yards. Now, insert Henry Ruggs, with still talent like, I mean, really, Hunter Renfrow, yards after the catch is still there. Darren Waller, probably fastest tight end in the league right now. And now we have this freaking game breaker that's going to be lining up on the outside, and Henry Ruggs. Those short yardage 2nd down plays are going to be absolutely dangerous. And that's kind of what we were missing, I think, going into it. And, you can sit here and argue, obviously, everybody at first was a little frustrated with maybe not picking CeeDee Lamb because he seemed like the most complete wide receiver, right? And this is where I think I've kind of been spewing this a little bit lately. I don't want to say fantasy football has ruined us, but fantasy football has kind of ruined us a little bit. We kind of have this idea like we're picking this guy for a fantasy football team. Who's going to produce the most himself? And forgetting the fact that we need to look at who's going to complement the offense the best. We have Tyrell Williams, who is a great number 2. We have Hunter Renfrow, who's great in the slot, running routes, adjusting, to those, like, I don't want to say maybe custom routes or the decisional routes. Hunter Renfrow has that, down. Now we just needed that speed and a guy to just open up the playbook and open up the defense, make them honest. And really, Henry Ruggs, throughout his entire career at Alabama, he had 100 total touches, whether that was receptions and a few rushes, right? He had 100 total, right on the money, 100 exactly touches while in Alabama. And he ended up, he ended up having 24 touchdowns off those 100 touches. So that was amazing. Kenny King, this is exactly who we needed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you hit the nail on the head. He's a guy that is going to open it up. One of the other things that you want to touch on is one of the routes that he runs best is one of the routes that Derek throws the best, and that's the slant. And those slants that he's taken to the house, the number is astronomical. That's something that we saw Hunter do a lot last year, and I'm excited to see that with Ruggs.
100%. Now, seems like yeah. I might be losing some power here. I got this thing maxed out, Kenny King. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. We're gonna have to keep track of this and how this goes. But for the most part, moving on to pick number 2 from Henry Ruggs. 19. The Raiders were looking to move back, right? The Raiders were looking to move back. They were open to it, should I say? They weren't out there calling around looking for offers, and they got some offers. I mean, they did. They had the option. They could have, but nothing was intriguing enough for them to move back. So they stayed right there at 19, and Mike Mayock picked his guy, and that's Damon Arnett. Let's pop this guy up here. Damon Arnett is a dog, and a guy that was a little surprising. Nonetheless, he was a little surprising. Nobody had him up there that high. I've heard that he was playing Xbox when they called him. He was sitting there playing Xbox during the draft, during the first round, during pick 19, whenever John Gruden called him. He almost didn't even expect to go in the first round. And of course, he had some off-the-field issues. He had an argument with the coach. But it sounds like he's a leader. He's vocal. Maybe he just spoke his mind. You know what I mean? Just because he got into a spat, you can take this report that a player just got into a little spat with the coaches, and now they're dubbed with off-the-field issues.
Right.
So I'm not exactly sure that fit the bill, because it sounds like obviously Mayock and John Gruden sat this kid down and thought he had that it factor, thought he had that dog in him, thought he had that maybe Jonathan Abram in him. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Arnett signing now. Took us a night to sleep on it and dig into him, because I don't think anybody had anything on this guy. I think that was the issue. Everybody was so shocked because they weren't prepared. But hey, here we are, Twitter GMs. If we were paid to do this and this was our job, maybe we would know who Damon Arnett was a little bit better, but we don't. So we slept on it tonight. Everything looks good. What do you think about Damon Arnett, Kenny King?
Yeah, so I was one of those guys that, the pick to me was a head scratcher at first. This is one of the ones that I talked about, was potentially a reach. Hearing that Mayock tried, looked at some trade back options, seeing what was out there, didn't see anything like. What we've seen is that Mayock is pretty stingy when it comes to picks. So if he's not seeing something he likes, he it means he doesn't want to give up a lot, and he values a player that much that he's going to take him at 19. Couple things that I see with Arnett and a couple positives here is he's big and he's physical. He's 6 foot, 195. He plays great in man. He's physical. He's good. He's pretty good in coverage. Where we see a little bit of deficiencies is in his speed. He ran a 4.56 40. He had a little bit of issues in run support, a little bit of vertical top speed. But what he makes up, what he lacks in that top speed, what he lacks in that vertical speed, is his physicality at the line of scrimmage. He's very handsy. He's able to get in there and make a play. One of the things that stood out to me the most is in his college career, he only gave up 1 touchdown.
There we go. I'm here for that, man. Real quick, I'm dealing with my technical difficulties. But I will say, you made the speed comment, and yes, it is concerning until proven. But I've seen now that Damon Arnett was actually dealing with some little nagging injuries during that combine. So
Right.
whatever it was, a 4.56, 4.59, one of those, it was higher 4.5s. Looking at film, I mean, he looks like he runs like a 4.4 player. So maybe that's just how shifty he is, how quick he is on his feet. That's really, I mean, I guess all that matters is a corner. You can be a 4.4, but if you can't adjust, if you can't have balance, it doesn't matter how fast you are unless you're just trying to chase down all the wide receivers you're getting burnt by. So overall, Damon Arnett, a guy that really, and one thing, I've said this, a time or two, Damon Arnett broke his wrist before his final year at Ohio State. He broke his wrist in the preseason, and he didn't realize this until week 3. Week 3, I think he had some x-rays done and found out his wrist was broken. So he plays through it, 6 games. So week 7, when during their bye week, he gets surgery on it. He plays all 13 games, allows like a 60.6 passer rating, allowed an amazing completion percentage for a corner. So Damon Arnett, a guy that's a little bit of a sleeper pick, but this is why we have Mike Mayock, right? I mean, not every the media mock drafts are not truth. I mean, if media mock drafts were exactly where a player should be, then why did Max Crosby, runner-up defensive player of the year, go in the 4th round, right?
Right.
Eastern Michigan.
If media mock drafts were everything that they said they were going to be, then why would they even have a draft? They would just let the media guys pick the draft picks.
Oh, exactly. So Damon Arnett, in my opinion, great pick. I mean, we're going to find out. He hasn't played a game yet. I'm not going to sit here and toot his horn like he's going to be the best corner out there, but I would love for him to be that guy. It's hard to – it's easier for me to give the guy credit than to knock him down before he's even played an NFL game. So
No doubt.
we're going to sit here, we're going to wait, and we're going to see what he has in store. Obviously, he's got a little chip on his shoulder to be doubted, and it's going to be cool because I think now Mike Mayock taking him at 19 at something that he didn't expect, maybe he's got a little more confidence in himself. So Damon Arnett, man, big fan. Moving on. We're kind of hoping a trade down scenario for Arnett. Obviously, we stuck to it. And you guys can go ahead if you want to drop your thoughts in the chat. I'm sure you already are with Damon Arnett. We were hoping for a trade down scenario. You look at picks, Kenny King, right? We did some mock drafts, right. And I was one of those guys that's like, you see the second round there, and we don't have any picks in the second round. It's like, we got to get in the second round. Come on, we're supposed to have a pick there. Mike Mayock could have traded down, didn't want to lose the guy Arnett. We stuck with it. We have 3 third-rounders, and he decided to stick down to those 3 third-rounders. And we're watching some good guys drop off. Right, there were some good guys that were in there, and they were dropping off a little bit. But we stuck it out. We come in, pick number 80, and we get Lynn Bowden Jr., a freaking Swiss Army knife. Everyone is calling him Swiss Army knife, so I'm just gonna stick with it. The Swiss Army knife. And he came in, under the radar, in my opinion. I think he obviously would raise some eyebrows with his talent on tape. But it's interesting now. This is the type of player that I'm excited to finally see in John Gruden's offense. We have all these gadget plays, all these short yardage, check down plays, and I think what we were missing really was just kind of like that pre-snap motion. some guys back there, some burners. Obviously, we have Henry Ruggs on the outside. Well, now we're going to have Bowden, who is being signed as a running back on the Raiders depth chart, who, will be probably moving around a little bit in the slot, playing a little bit, like gadget wide receiver stuff. But I'm going to be excited to see that type of guy in John Gruden's offense. What are your thoughts on Bowden?
Lynn Bowden reminds me of a couple guys, two guys that played in the AFC West back in the day. One of those guys was a Raider. One of those guys was a rival. The one Raider he reminds me of is Charlie Garner. He's quick, he's fast, he can come out of the backfield. You can throw the ball to him. He can pass the ball if needed. He is a virtual Swiss Army knife. What the other guy that I compare him to, that I was watching some film, and he fits that mold, is he reminds me a lot of Dante Hall. Okay. He has that X factor ability. He can return those kicks. He can return punts. He's able to do everything that you need him to do on the field, on the offensive side of the ball, and on the special team side of the ball. We were talking, we've been talking back and forth about what we're going to do at the returner position. Is Dwayne Harris an option to come back? What should the Raiders do? It looks as if they may have filled that position with Lynn Bowden, because we now have a running back that's replaced DeAndre Washington. You have a guy that can return kicks, so that's replaced that issue over there.
Yeah.
And you now have somebody who can also come in and run a wildcat. He fits that Taysom Hill mold. I personally think that he's better than Taysom Hill. He has more passes, but I think that he's a guy that you can basically use as a virtual Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, 100%. Lynn Bowden Jr. coming in, man. I mean, he had like almost 1,500 rushing yards that final year. That's amazing, right? I mean, he was taking snaps at quarterback. I think Grizz Turner told me last night he had like 40-something pass attempts, and he had like 400-something receiving yards. So he's going to go in there. He's going to do everything. Taysom Hill is obviously the easiest comp probably to the NFL. He's not quite built like him. I mean, he's not a freaking tank like Taysom Hill, but I think he has a skill set to kind of play every single position, every skill position on the offense. So that's going to be interesting. So we had back-to-back picks. We go from 80 to 81. And before we talk about 81, I'm going to throw a little plug in here real quick. Make sure you guys check out BlackSundayShop.com. BlackSundayShop.com dropped a new t-shirt. You'll see it scrolling through there. It is the Champs shirt. Use that promo code SKULL20. SKULL20 will get you 20% off your entire order, and that comes with a free bandana. Spend more than $75 and your stuff will come in a sweet freaking box. Be a part of the Black Sunday crew. Now that I got my stuff, I'm definitely going to be buying a lot more stuff from them as well. So make sure, BlackSundayShop.com, promo code SKULL20. Follow them on Instagram. Check their stuff out. Super legit. That's what I'm wearing now. You can get this shirt too. My favorite, I think, of the bunch that I got. Good quality stuff. So, Kenny King Jr., moving on. Pick number 80. Bryan Edwards. Huh?
Yes.
So, bro, we picked this guy last night, right? We're live on Periscope. And we go, I throw on YouTube highlights, right? We're watching Lynn Bowden. And it's cool, man, watching this guy. I mean, he's got speed, obviously. What was he? I think like a 4.43, I think he runs. So we're watching his YouTube highlights. We got back-to-back picks. I throw on Bryan Edwards. And we throw on freaking Bryan Edwards highlight tape. And over there at South Carolina, this guy's looking like he's freaking Calvin Johnson. And I don't know what is going on. I mean, for me, actually, if I'm going to comp him real quick, by watching this play, he's not the fastest guy. He's a big dude, strong dude. I see a little Des Bryant in him, except I think he catches better, obviously, with his one-handed catches. But he kind of has that similar, I think, play style to Des Bryant. But, man, Bryan Edwards, man, we threw on the highlight tape, and I was sitting there, and I couldn't stop watching it. We probably watched 20 minutes of tape on this guy last night, and everything was amazing. Kenny King, tell me about our dude, our third-round freaking steal in Bryan Edwards.
Bryan Edwards may be my favorite pick of this draft. I think that, big body, physical receiver. One of the things that stood out to me is just that. He has the ability to go out there and get the 50-50 balls. He's going to catch those contested passes. He is a tremendous red zone threat. We were watching some of the highlights, and you see him catching those back end zone fades, and I'm like, man, I got memories of Michael Crabtree, 2016 through 2017, when Crabtree was at the height of his career in Oakland, and catching those contested balls, catching those back corner fades. I mean, those are the things that we are looking for. We wanted, Mike Mayock said that we wanted to improve our offense in the red zone. this guy is going to improve the offense of the red zone. It officially puts, guys like Marcel Aitman on notice, because he's essentially the same player that Marcel is, but I think that he has more athleticism, and I think he has better hands, and he looks to be a lot more physical.
This is amazing, man. This is what's cool about how this draft and this offseason worked out, because going into it, we're looking at the free agency and the draft as a whole. Obviously, you're going into free agency still planning and understanding that there's a draft afterwards. You don't have to overpay everything. So we didn't really address, the offense at all. What did we get? Nelson Aguilar. We re-signed some offensive linemen. We didn't really do Marcus Mariota. We didn't do a whole lot to our offense at our skill positions, right? So I'm kind of glad, because I had that same idea whenever we started that, hey, like, there's a lot of opportunity to get some sweet freaking players in the draft. So we go in and we take our 4 picks, 4 guys within the top 81, all going to be major impact players to this offense. And I want to take this time right now in the top 81 and just kind of discuss what we think that this is going to immediately do to this offense. And obviously starting with like Ruggs, excluding Arnett, 3 guys in the top 81. Ruggs, Bowden, and Edwards, taking those 3 guys. What are we going to do? How's that going to change our offense as a whole, Kenny?
It adds more speed. It adds more depth. You look at the offense as a whole, and one of the things that we ran into later in the year after injuries, you had Tyrell Williams, who had plantar fasciitis. You had Hunter Renfrow, who was dealing with broken ribs. Josh Jacobs, who was dealing with a broken shoulder. We had a lot of injuries to our key players, and then we got Foster Moreau got hurt. Darren Waller was targeted a lot more, and so we were unable to get the ball to him a lot. What this does is it opens up our offense. We have a speed guy in Ruggs, and obviously we have Rico Gafford. And I'd like to see Rico get used more. I'd like to see what happens with that. But you got a speed guy in Ruggs. You've got a true X in Edwards. You've got Williams. You've got Renfrow. You've got Jacobs. Now you're adding Bowden in there. It just adds so many more dimensions to this offense. You have the ability to use the full playbook that we would have hoped to use in the beginning of last season, and really open this offense up and see exactly what John Gruden has planned for this team. I know a lot of fans, including myself, want to see us air it out more, and now we have the ability to do so because we've got players that we can air it out with. We have the ability to spread the field and do a lot more.
Fired up, Kenny King. While we're here, man, we got a lot of people watching us right now. We got a lot of people in the chat. Raider Nation's fired up. Don't forget, subscribe, hit those bell notifications, keep this channel in mind. And I want to go ahead and give a shout out now to my buddy here, Kenny King Jr. and his YouTube channel. You can find it, Kenny King Jr. Go and search it in your search bar. You can subscribe to his channel. I'll remind you whenever we're done here. Kenny King, you're doing a giveaway on your channel. What do you got in store for us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We do have a giveaway on my channel. What I'm giving away is I'm giving away a authentic, never worn Hunter Renfrow mini helmet. It's never worn because it's a mini helmet. And so it's autographed by Hunter Renfrow. It's a nice Las Vegas Raiders mini helmet. What I'm doing is I'm giving it away. You have a chance to win that once I hit 1,000 subscriptions on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be pulling the names at random. I'm going to do a random drawing, and one lucky winner will get that Hunter Renfrow mini helmet, autographed, never worn, because it's a mini helmet.
Let's go. As long as I did everything right in my preparation. My memory is a little shot, but I should have put Kenny King's link maybe in the bio. I don't remember if I did. Hopefully I did. Kenny King's link should be in the bio of this, or description of this video. If not, just search Kenny King Jr. And subscribe. Make it happen. So, Kenny King, we go from 81, and we're feeling good, right? That's our back-to-back picks to fire up. We waited, forever on day 2, right? We're sitting there just like going through round 2, like come on. I had shout out to Mojo and Murph from Murph's Fan Cave. Also subscribe to that channel, Murph's Fan Cave on YouTube. I had those guys on our Periscope on Twitter. Man, we were just talking for almost 2 hours. Finally, we get our picks. We're getting fired up. Things, get knocked out of the park. And then we come in back. We had 91. We decided to trade. I think we took 91, and we traded it to New England with, I can double check, I think, the trade, but I think we took 159 and 91. You see. Yeah, 159, 91, and we traded it for 100, 139, and 172. We moved down to 100. We picked up Tanner Muse. This guy, shout out again to the moderator in the chat, Grizz Turner, because this is a dude that was on his radar. As for all of you guys that loved Isaiah Simmons, this is your next best thing to Isaiah Simmons. And not even just on Clemson. I mean, in probably all of college football, because this guy, from what he was able to accomplish, I mean, just as a linebacker, putting his nose down, getting some sacks. I mean, Tanner Muse came in, and I mean, he had some picks. What do you have, like 4 interceptions or something wild? I mean, look at the graphic. I got the graphic right here of Tanner freaking just high pointing a ball and picking it off, just snatching it out of the air. And the first thing that I said last night, Kenny King, on that Periscope, was I look at this dude, and maybe he's not going to come in and obviously be an immediate starter on the defense, but he's going to be a freaking special teams dog.
Yes.
Dude, like, lights out. I mean, he has the physical build, downhill runner, get after the ball carrier, obviously has some ball skills to even be able to play along with some of that stuff. So, I mean, what do he call himself? What was the nickname he gave himself? The special teams, like Mac Daddy or something? What do you call himself?
Oh, Grizz, you know this one.
Where's the chat? The chat will save us. And what's up to the chat, man? I'll give a few shout outs real quick before you go off on Muse, man. Shout out Dave C, the hot janitor. That's interesting. Undertow, Man of God, Raider Joker, Grizz, what's going on, man? D Money, Javi,
War Daddy, Special Raider. Teams War Daddy.
War Daddy. I like Special Teams Mac Daddy better. You should have went with Mac Daddy, but
that sounds like something Abram would call himself.
Hey, after that Team Z video, he is a Mac Daddy, I guess. But I tell you, man, War Daddy on Special Teams, I'm digging it, man. I mean, let's get after it. Kenny King, what do you think about him?
This is what I think about him. While Paul Gunther has got to be smiling right now, Rich Bisaccia has to be salivating over this player. I think that you hit the nail on the head. This guy is a special teams war daddy. He is going to be a guy that can make plays on special teams. And this is where we have areas that would need improvement, right? We talk about the offense, we talk about the defense, and how we need to improve on those sides of the ball. But very rarely do we talk about special teams outside of the kicking game. And what we can do is you get a guy like Tanner Muse who can create turnovers on special teams, who can make tackles in the open field, who can get better field position on special teams. This opens things up tremendously for us. On top of that, you get a guy like Tanner Muse who's going to be a backup linebacker in this defense. He's going to learn behind a guy like Corey Littleton, one of the best linebackers to learn from right now in the NFL. So I think that him learning behind Corey Littleton, him being able to rotate in with this defense, he's going to be a rotational guy moving forward, but he has the ability to be a starter, and he has the ability to be a star on special teams.
Man, I'm excited.
You guys fired up?
I'm excited. It's like I'm sitting here like listening, bro. We're going through this list, and all these players just gets me so excited. It's like you just kind of get those like those goosebumps. You get the chills, bro. It's like it feels good to be bringing in good players, and it's like there's been a lot of times like we bite the hype. Like we've had players like Obi Melifonwu, guys like that, Jahad Ward, guys come in that you think could like be good players, and then they just end up being like busts for us, right? It just doesn't work. But after last year, okay, like the only person we're able to complain about is Cleveland Farrell, who maybe now if we redrafted as of last year might not be a first round pick, but would probably still be a first round pick in a redraft. Like that's our only complaint. Like we've had first round picks nowadays that would probably get redrafted, probably undrafted. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't even freaking work out. Like their career didn't work out altogether. Not even just their play, just their attitude on off the field issues, something wild. So if that's our only issue from last year, we have nothing literally to complain about right now.
A good
right?
problem to have,
dude. It's a good freaking problem. Hats off. I said in my last video, like in Mike Mayock we trust. And John Gruden to be there to make the final decision, that's all he needed. It was the perfect compliment. John Gruden being a great coach, obviously might have been a little bit too wild as a talent evaluator by himself, but you bring in Mike Mayock to settle him out, give him some good options whenever it comes to the draft, and keep him honest. So I freaking love it, man. At this point, we're ending day 2. I felt so good last night, dude, after finishing day 2. I don't know how you went to bed, but I went to bed, dude, just like so satisfied with what the silver and black were doing.
I didn't sleep much. I mean, I don't sleep much as it is, but I didn't sleep much. I was fired up. I mean, I think day two was more exciting than day one. Obviously, not because I didn't like the players that we took day one, because now I really like the players that we took day one. But I think that the day one of the draft is always so much hype built up around it. There's always so many things that so many emotions around it. There's always so many things that you're thinking, things going through your head. Day two, you get to relax a little bit more, and we didn't get to relax it all day two. I mean, day two was nonstop, jam-packed action. And I think that, the guys that we had in the Periscope with us, I think Grizz and Mojo and Murph and you guys got me fired up even more because, I mean, we're sitting there talking football, we're talking shop, and then, boom, Tanner Muse hits. Boom, Brian Edwards hits. Boom, Lynn Bowden hits. And we just keep getting hit with hit after hit. I mean, it was like a Dr. Dre concert.
We're just rocking out the whole time. We're feeling it, man. It was good. It was overall good going through day two, and honestly, it was a little bit weird to me. I think day three, I was maybe I don't want to say I was expecting something different, but I was expecting something a little bit different. I expected more picks. I expected a lot more trade downs, but the first thing we did, we ended up trading up because we were gonna have pick 121, and then we took 121, packaged it with one of the picks we got from the Patriots, 172. And we traded up with Detroit to 109. At 109, this was a position of need that I thought would be addressed in the draft, and that's interior guard again. And I mean, we're pretty loaded up here, obviously, with still Gabe Jackson on the roster. We re-signed Denzel Good. And now we're going to have a guy, John Simpson, who really kind of weird. I'm kind of watching this guy play, and he's not quite the prototypical guard that we've had. I mean, he's like 6'4", like 320 pounds or something wild. Like, the dude's almost built like a tackle.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
6'4", 321. Dude is strong. He bench pressed 225 34 times at the combine. Not a slow guy by big guy standards at all. He ran a 5.2 440. He's incredibly good against the run. He's pretty good against the pass as well. He's got a low center of gravity, even though he's a bigger guy. And so one of the things that you're going to see is him at guard. He doesn't get bull rushed. You can't push him back.
No.
So it's basically like having another Gabe Jackson there, or having another Rodney Hudson there, and a guy that, and even a Richie Incognito, a guy that can't get moved. And what we're seeing with this offensive line is we're getting bigger guys that are just big, mean, physical bullies at the line of scrimmage. One thing I did see is I saw that Mike Mayock said that as of right now, Gabe Jackson is the starter. So it'll be curious to see how things play out with that. But regardless, adding a guy like Simpson is always huge, and you have to wonder, who's the odd man out. You got a guy like Lester Cotton who's still on the roster. You just signed on Jordan Debbie back, and so the question is, where does he fit in with this team?
I like Gabe. I like Gabe a lot, and I think he should stay. Whenever we're talking about, obviously, Gabe Jackson trading is going to get brought up. Maybe they just didn't have an offer if he was on the trade block that wasn't appealing enough to take advantage of. Because obviously, I mean, I think everybody has a price on their head that the Raiders would jump on with most players. There's some untouchable guys with contract obligations, everything else, but a guy like Gabe Jackson, obviously, there's going to be a price on his head that it could come across, and he could be on the move, but. Nothing seemed worth it. Obviously, I think there's still a lot of value in Gabe Jackson, and there's really just chemistry that's built there with Gabe that you're not going to be able to match anywhere else immediately this year, especially with you got to think with no off-season programs. Like, obviously, that's going to be like one thing that gets brought up. Anyone that talks about Derek Carr being replaced, that's going to be the first thing that it's like, okay, no, he's not, because who's going to command a John Gruden offense with like pretty much no off-season workouts for one? Let alone. He's going to be the guy that's talented enough to, I think, lead this roster to the playoffs. I mean, this year is going to be our year, but same thing goes for our offensive line. We got these 5 guys, keep them healthy. They have chemistry made. Gabe came off an injury last year. And okay, so what? We're going to save $9 million to do what with it? We can't trot $9 million out there on the field and start them at right guard. Like, $9 million isn't a player. Like, well, who cares if we have cap space? It ain't going to win us. Cap space don't win football games. You know what I mean? It'll build for the future, but it's not gonna win football games this year. So if there's no replacement for that money that we're going to save, what's the point of getting rid of him if he's our best option starting at right guard? So I think we stick it out. We ride with Gabe Jackson. I like him. Derek likes him. The offensive line likes him. He loves being a Raider. Obviously, he's one of our homegrown talents, one of the last few that's been on the roster since 2016. I think we keep riding it out. He's, no off the field issues. I like what he's got going on. So, to close out, I guess the offensive line talk here for me, Kenny King. Let's roll, man. We got the unit. We're big.
We're real big. I mean, and it looks like they're going to keep getting bigger. Which you've got. What I'm most excited to see is I'm excited to see Colton Miller in year 3. He made big strides last year. He still gave up 7 sacks last year, but I think that he's going to continue to get bigger and get better, and I'm excited to see what he does. But yeah, I mean, the offensive line is big. They keep getting bigger. They keep getting more physical, and it's only going to make it easier for guys like Lynn Bowden and Jalen Richard and Josh Jacobs to run that ball down the Chiefs' throat.
Yeah, and since we're talking about John Simpson now being out of this offensive line, being as big as he is, just like you added, he's powerful. He has speed. There's one thing that he needs to brush up, because the only film this offseason, the only time I'd ever seen John Simpson, I didn't even know I was watching John Simpson, was against a bunch of Kinlaw tape during one of the, I forget what was going on, some of the combine workouts and whatever was going on. I seen him going up against Kinlaw, or was it the Senior Bowl maybe? I think whenever they're lined up against each other, some stuff.
Yeah.
I seen just different one-on-one tapes of Kinlaw and Simpson here, and Simpson, was getting worked a little bit by Kinlaw, but because Kinlaw is kind of like the Aaron Donald type, fast footwork. Might as well be a freaking edge. So. But he has the power to get there and just be the meat and bones of a powerful running game if he had to be inserted. So John Simpson, a guy who has a rushing touchdown as a Clemson freaking Tiger, I'm excited for. I think it was a good addition, a good kind of cherry on top to the good interior depth that we have on this offensive line. And a very, I think much need. I think it was neat. As good as we are offensive line, one of the highest paid. I think we are now the highest paid offensive line unit. Why not invest, just a tad bit more, and shore that thing up completely, Kenny?
Yeah, absolutely.
Final pick. I thought we'd have more picks, honestly. After what we did, we had like 6 or 7 trades or something wild last year. For 5+, I forget the number. I remember keeping track, and it was wild. This year we had 2 or 3 trades. I expected more trade backs. I expected not to end our draft in the 4th round. That was a little surprising. But this pick at 139, gee Louise. I remember sitting there on day 2, and Amik Robertson was a guy that I would have picked in the 3rd. I would have took him right there at 100 or 91 or 80. I would have took him at freaking 80 or 81. I'd have been so content with Amik Robertson, because I felt like corner was, such a need. And now bringing in a guy that can guarantee, this kind of puts, in my opinion, LaMarcus Joyner a little bit on the hot seat. If he's not producing in the slot, whenever we start getting into those maybe, week 1, those nickel packages, you're going to see LaMarcus Joyner out there still. But whenever we get into those dime packages, Amik Robertson is going to start getting reps. And if Amik Robertson starts showing out, he could be battling with LaMarcus Joyner for reps. And you know what? If Joyner doesn't step up, with the talent added to this defense, it's going to be an interesting thing to watch. Kenny King, what do you think about our final pick at 139, Amik Robertson?
Yeah, so back to what you said about you would have taken Amik in the 3rd round. I did a mock on my channel a couple weeks back, and I actually had taken him, I think, at pick 82 or 80. I'm sorry, pick 81, I believe, or one of those 3rd round picks. He's definitely a guy that, and Mike Mayock had just said, had he been a couple inches taller, he would have been picked yesterday. He's a guy that is. He plays bigger than he is, to quote Mike Mayock and the way that he says it, but he plays bigger than he is. He's small but mighty. He's a bit undersized, but he plays the ball. He plays the player. He's fluid. He is a ball hawk. He's physical. He is, he has a chip on his shoulder. he's coming in and he's going to be trying to make a name of himself. He wants people to regret picking him so far down. He wants teams to regret passing on him. And I think that he is going to give LaMarcus Joyner a run for his money.
I love it. Kenny King, that's it right there. I mean, the dude's a ball hawk. He had, in his, final 3 years, was it 14 interceptions? I'm trying to think. I think I might have the number written down here, man. I was looking at some of his stuff, man. His 3 seasons, 14 interceptions and 34 passes defensed. 2 touchdowns. His final year, he had 2 touchdowns. His final year. I know he's had some fumble recoveries. This is what we needed. This is exactly what our defense needed. Our pass rush is stepping up. Cleveland Farrell's going to take a jump. Max Crosby's going to take a jump. We added Malik Collins. We're going to get more pressure up the middle. You know, our defensive line's getting there. Our linebackers are flipped. I mean, goodness, we've never had a set of linebackers like Witkowski and Littleton in our lives. Well, I don't even know. I can't even break them down because I don't even know what to expect out of a good linebacker core. And now it's getting to the point where now just on our defensive side of the ball, we got some dogs that are coming in. Jonathan Abrams going to go out there and force turnovers. He's going to get pressure in people's faces. He's going to piss people off, and he's going to force turnovers. I mean, just like Arnett. I mean, he's going to do the same thing. Trayvon Mullen out there is a shutdown guy. And then we're going to go in and we're going to add a possible slot guy to Amik Robertson, who could be another ball hawk and another guy that creates these turnovers. Imagine, what is that like? That's like 5 interceptions a season almost. I mean, give us 3 or 4, 5 picks a season, Amik, in the slot. Like, let's freaking go, defense. I'm all over it.
Well, Cody, I'm looking here at the chat, and Grizz made a great point.
Grizz made a great point? That's new.
Grizz made a great. I mean, Grizz always makes great points, but Grizz made a great point here. Amik Robertson is good friends with Jonathan Abram. They have the same agent. You know, they're the same type of guy. They're jawsy. They're physical. They talk a lot, and they're going to get. Not only are they going to make plays, but they're going to get in your head. And you know, you and I know, and the chat knows, the AFC West teams like to talk a lot, and when you can talk a lot and you get in somebody's head and you can get another team fired up and get them off of their ball, get them off their game, that's a win, you know. And so I'm really excited to see what these guys can do out there. I'm really excited to see Robertson and Abram, how they communicate out there, how Arnett and Mullen communicate out there, Kwiatkowski, Littleton, the defense, the whole defensive line, Max Crosby in year 2. I mean, there's so many things to be excited about on this defense. You know, we talked a lot about, you know, we needed the defense to get better, and I see the pieces. You know, what Paul Gunther does with these pieces, that's to be determined, but you have talent. You've got players that are fast, that are physical, that can make plays, alphas out there. You don't have a lot of beta males out there that they're scared to play, that are going to sit there and they're going to sit out for a few games with shin splints, or they're afraid of contact. You've got some alphas out there that want to get after it and that want to play some football.
Agreed, man. So we're gonna close this thing out pretty soon. We're gonna take some questions from the chat. Gather up some good questions based on something that we haven't covered, discussing all these prospects. We're going to cover some of those, give a couple plugs in here. I want to give a shout out real quick to Stage Door Casino. Stage Door Casino, next time you're in Las Vegas, make sure you visit Stage Door Casino. They're going to be the new Raider spot, man. I mean, this is where you go. We're going to probably set up some broadcasts there at some point. Make sure you check out Stage Door Casino, of course. And again, BlackSundayShop.com. Use promo code SKOOL20. You get 20% off the entire website, and it comes with a free bandana. I got the bandana right here. Ooh, rock this bad boy right here. I'm telling you, anything, just buy a t-shirt. Buy the new t-shirt. Get yourself this bandana. You look cool like me.
That's cool perfect. Like That's perfect for social distancing, too.
It's perfect for social distancing. Boom. Don't get nobody sick. You're good to go. And I'll tell you what, eventually we'll probably do some, whenever everything's kind of, cleared up and we can do some shipments. Maybe we'll do some giveaways with some Black Sunday stuff. So make sure you get those orders in. Kenny King Jr. Who's our wide receiver 1? Shout out to, let's see. I'm not sure how to say her name. Josue Esparza. Who's our wide receiver 1? Ruggs?
Gotta be Ruggs.
My thing is, here's my answer. Does it matter?
I mean, I think that you're going to have a couple guys that are going to get 1,000 yards this year.
I mean, that's the thing is, there's going to be one wide receiver sets, depending on what we're dealing with. I think that guy, if there's one wide receiver on the field, I think right now it would be Tyrell Williams. Right? If we're in like a bunch formation, who do you think's on the field?
Yeah, Tyrell Williams is definitely out there.
I think it would be him. I think it's hard. Like everyone wants, that wide receiver one, like it's this label, and I get it. And I'm not. Don't think I'm like dragging your question at all because I get it. Wide receiver one, who is it? And I contemplated that even a couple nights ago, and I think we just have two really good players that complement each other. For all I know, they're both wide receiver ones, right? In their own way, they're equal. We have one guy that does this, one guy that does this. They're going to complement each other, and it's going to be great. And I just know Hunter Renfro's the slot guy. So, wide receiver one, I don't think needs to even have a label right now. But got any questions in the chat for us, Kenny King? What do we got here?
I got a question here from Undertow. It says, I know Bowden is going to be a running back, but he has major fumble issues. Might we get a true running back as an undrafted free agent until Bowden is coached up?
I think so, because I don't think Bowden. He might be listed as a running back, but I'm not sure that he's going to be like that straight just ball carrier, line up in the backfield. I think he's going to be kind of that gadget guy that lines up.
Yeah.
He could be in the slot. He could be like offset. He could be wildcat for all we know. What do you think, Kenny?
Yeah, I think the same. I think that, with the addition to more men on the roster, you have the ability to add a few more guys on the team, a couple gadget players. Bowden, like I said, is a guy that, one, can be used as a kick returner. So that's another option. But I think that you still bring in another running back. I think that, Gruden and Mayock want to bring in a larger running back, a guy that's going to be able to be a first down machine, a short yardage specialist. It's probably not going to be Chris Warren, so quit asking about Chris Warren. But I definitely do see a larger back to spell Jacobs as a potential target.
I feel you. We got someone here in the chat stumbling upward. There's barely any upgrades for our defense. Are we going to keep getting burnt on deep passes? Now, actually, real quick, shout out to the live stream, man. We got over 300 viewers right now. This is rolling hot. I love it, man. Raider Nation is fired up. Thank you guys for tuning in and listen to us. If you guys weren't here, me and Kenny King would probably still be doing this, just talking to ourselves. So I'm glad someone's here to listen to us rant about these guys. But says, hey, Cody, there's barely any upgrades to our defense. Are we going to keep getting burnt on deep passes? That's by shout out stumbling upward. There was upgrades. We flipped the linebacker room. I think we added some good corner depth. I think we did good. You got to remember now, we have an upgrade that's coming in, just a late upgrade. Jonathan Abram is a first-round pick that's being added to 2020. And I think, we did a little bit to the defensive line. I think we added some pressure in the middle. I think that there was upgrades on the defense. Now it's just a matter of after the draft, I wouldn't be surprised. I think we fill in the blanks with some good veterans. I think we work on depth because there's guys available. Shout out to the boy, Will Compton. We'll give you a free shout out there, Will. Or even Avantez Perfect. Maybe he's in play. There's still some corners out there. There's a Logan Ryan out there. I don't think Logan Ryan's in play now because we got like Arnett. I think we addressed that starter on the opposite side, but there's still some veteran depth players out there. Kenny King, what are we gonna keep getting burnt on deep passes, Kenny King? What do you think?
Nobody wants to keep getting burned on deep passes, and I think that's what the Raiders try to do and address during the draft. And free agency, bring in a guy like Demarius Randall and bringing in Arnett and Robertson. But like you said, there are still some depth guys out there. Darryl Worley's another option. You got Jonathan Abram coming back. Will Compton is a guy that knows the defense. Deion Jordan's another guy that I'd like to see come back onto the defense. You've got Arden Key coming back off of injury. So there's still some players that are coming back that were either injured last year or that were free agents or newly free agents on this team. There's still a few free agents out there. Jadeveon Clowney is still sitting out there, and I don't think that the Raiders would go after and spend all that money on Clowney, but that is still another option. I think that, what you look at now and now that now that the draft is over and the draft is ending, that you look at what do we have in the undrafted free agents, because we had a lot of success with them last year, and let's see what we can get this year. You've got guys like Keyshawn Nixon who are coming back next year. So you've got some young guys that are going to get more of a chance, and so it'll be very interesting to see what they do these coming months.
Yeah, there's a comment here. I think I lost it about the Broncos adding some speed as well. Okay, who said that? Oh, right here. Julian. Shout out Julian here in the chat. Broncos picked up speed as well. Yeah, they did. Okay, so they drafted Jerry Jeudy. Refresh my memory. Did they get Mims? Who else did they get? Did they get Mims? No. I forget who they drafted. I forget who that was.
Grizz, go on, give me that. I didn't see it, but I know they added a tight end too.
Probably did. Now here's a question for you, Kenny King. Do you think Muse
KJ
will...
Hamlet.
Hamlet, there
Thanks,
we go.
Ivan.
Thanks, Ivan. So, do you think Muse will be used as a third linebacker? In my opinion, I don't think he's going to be the third guy. We still have Nicholas Morrow in rotation, right? Kyle Wilbur, who's going to be a special teams guy, but I think Muse will get. I think he'll get defensive snaps. What do you think, Kenny?
I think he'll get some defensive snaps. I think that I think they're gonna test out Morrow and Lee first
Hamlet,
to see what.
Hamler. It's Hamler. We both said Hamlet like it was KJ Hamler.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see what you have with Morrow and Lee first, but then also see what you can get out of Muse.
Good stuff, man. We've been recording for too freaking long. We were live the last 2 days. Well, you were late yesterday, but man, we've been live 10 hours. Thursday and Friday, 10 total hours. Goodness gracious. Plus YouTube videos on top of that. But we will have a podcast dropping after this. As soon as we're done going live, we're going to wrap this thing up in a few minutes. As soon as we're done with this YouTube live stream, we're going to be going live, going and doing our podcast. See, I'm getting my brain's like scrambled eggs right now. So make sure. While everyone's in here, we're getting up to 350 viewers. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, hit those bell notifications, and make sure that you hit up Kenny King's channel, Kenny King Jr. I might have dropped it in the description. I might have not. So make sure you hit up that channel. Kenny King's going to be giving away a signed Hunter Renfrow mini helmet. Kenny King, I think we're just about wrapped up. Close this thing out, man. Oh. Maybe he's gone. Kenny gone? Kenny left already. Kenny left already. Good. Good. Okay. All right, guys. That's going to be it for this live stream. We're going to close this thing out. I think Kenny King had a napping baby. We're both guys, both family men that make sure, we try and squeeze this thing in to our family schedule when the kids are napping, when things are going down. So Kenny's kid must have woke up maybe and he took off. So Raider Nation, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. And subscribe to that podcast, Raider Cody Podcast. Check out our podcast. But thank you guys for tuning in. I saw something in here about a super chat. I haven't done a super chat before. Maybe I'll do it next time. We're new to this YouTube thing. But shout out, guys. See you guys next video. Peace.